You ever stare at your debt like it's a mountain and you're about to tackle it in flip-flops? Because that was me about 3.5 years ago. I had $175,000 of mortgage debt and a sales job that made my income feel like a roller coaster. Up, down, loop-de-loop. But I paid it off. All of it in just 16 months. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how I stayed motivated when it felt downright impossible. Because let's be real, motivation doesn't magically show up. Sometimes you gotta drag it out of bed like a teenager on a Monday. Look, I'm not some finance bro in a suit yelling about cutting lattes. I'm a full-time roofing sales consultant, hopping roofs, jumping in attics, and closing deals. Hey everyone, I'm Mike with Roof Money Pro, and I help roofing professionals maximize their careers and build wealth. And that involves coaching people just like you, sales pros in roofing trying to juggle life, income swings, and debt that feels heavier than you think you might be able to bear. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with new content. In this video, I'm going to give you real strategies, not fluff, stuff that actually works when you're tired, stressed, and wondering if you should just make minimum payments and call it a life. But I'm also going to share what almost made me quit and how I pushed through it anyway. So stick around, because if you've ever thought, there's no way I can do this, I've got some good news. You can, and I'll show you how. Let me take you back to the beginning, when my motivation was sky high for about 15 minutes. I had bought my home about 4 years prior for $195,000. Then a few years later, when I eventually found myself selling roofs, I had about $175,000 left on the mortgage. But here's the thing nobody tells you when you get a commission job. Your income is as steady as a squirrel in an energy drink. Some months I crushed it, other months it felt like being drugged through the mud. And that made the idea of aggressively paying off my mortgage feel like I was volunteering for punishment. Still, I told myself, let's knock this thing out fast, 1 year max. Nothing wild, especially for someone in roofing sales where you can have $20,000 months. Spoiler alert, it took me a year and a half, but it almost broke me. Not because the money wasn't there, but because staying motivated when your income is unpredictable, that's a full-time job in itself. I started off like most people do. Fired up, spreadsheets ready, Dave Ramsey playlist on blast. I was putting 60% of my income toward my mortgage. That's right, 60%. Some folks called me crazy. Others thought I was rich. I was neither. I was just focused. But here's what no one talks about. Motivation is easy at the start. You're excited. You feel in control. You can see the progress until you have a slow month. The truck needs tires. You miss a bonus by one install, and suddenly that goal you were hyped about starts looking like a punishment. That was month 4. Month 4 for me was rough. My commissions were down. It rained like crazy, so jobs got pushed. I looked at my bank account and thought, maybe I should chill on the debt thing for a while. You ever been there? You make a plan, life laughs in your face, and you want to throw the whole plan in the trash. I told myself I'd just take a break for 1 month. Rebuild my savings, get back on track next pay cycle. But I know all too well that's how 1 month becomes 2, then 3. I didn't stop paying the mortgage. But some weeks were tougher to muster the strength to hit that submit payment button. Here's the truth. Motivation doesn't vanish all at once. It drips away, like a leak you didn't notice until the ceiling falls in. Let me share something that might surprise you. Motivation is completely overrated. Yeah, it's important. But if you rely on motivation to pay off debt, you're going to fail. Why? Because motivation is a feeling, and feelings are flaky. One bad day and you're binging pizza and Netflix instead of budgeting. Trust me from experience. What actually kept me going? Systems, habits, and knowing my why. 1, I made progress visual. You know what helped the most? A simple corkboard and a spreadsheet. I broke my $175,000 mortgage into chunks. I forecasted every month the balance going down by $5,000 in my spreadsheet. I posted my plan on the board. I know it sounds silly, but updating that number felt really good because I was typically really close. It turned something invisible into something I could see. Every time I wanted to quit, I look at the board and think, I made it this far and I'm not going back. 2, I gamified the grind. Roofing sales is competitive, right? So I made my debt payoff competitive too. Could I beat last month's total? Could I knock out an extra $2,000 this pay cycle? Could I hit a round number just because it feels good? Turning the goal into a game made it fun, even on slow weeks. 3, I talked to people who got it. When I was in the dip, I didn't tell anyone. I felt embarrassed, like I should have had it all together. But then I started sharing with friends in the industry. Some were paying off debt too. Some were just about to get into debt with their own first house. We laughed about the sacrifices, canceled trips, worn out boots, skipped Uber Eats. That community was fuel. If you're the only one in your circle doing this, get a new circle. Even if it's a Facebook or LinkedIn group or just one buddy who will celebrate your wins with you. After that slump, I made some changes, not just to my money, but to how I thought about the journey. I automated the discipline. I created a routine every Friday morning I got paid to open up my spreadsheet, enter the amount on my paycheck, and it would automatically calculate how much of every commission check would be transferred into each bank account and what percentage went straight to the mortgage. You could certainly set up auto transfers, although I got satisfaction from doing this process. So it was something I looked forward to that I didn't have to worry about forgetting to do. This also took the emotion out of it. No decision fatigue, no debating, just boom, money gone before I could get distracted. I also celebrated the tiny wins. I used to only celebrate big milestones, $25,000, $50,000, etc. But I realized those were too far apart, so I started celebrating every $5,000, not with spending, but with stuff like making a steak at home, smoking a nice cigar without guilt, or calling my parents just to brag a little and get some support. Because if you wait until the end to be proud, you're gonna quit before you get there. Plus, it's truly about appreciating the journey and not just the single destination. I also built fun money into my plan. Here's a hot take. Debt freedom shouldn't feel like prison. I gave myself a small fun budget every month, 5% to blow however I wanted. I know it doesn't sound like much, but remember, that's the point. I'm focused on my primary goal, but it's also important to afford some lifestyle comforts. Think of it like a financial cheat meal. Also, I'm in roofing sales, so dollar-wise, it was still a decent amount to take a few trips throughout the year and buy nice things. Some months I bought really nice dinners for the family. Other months I bought gear for my endurance races or books that would help me grow myself. It wasn't much, but it reminded me I'm not broke, I'm building. I was sitting in my office after doing my weekly financial update routine. I checked my mortgage balance, and the balance was $41,710. That was the moment it hit me. I was actually going to finish. Not someday, not eventually, in a few months. I had been checking this balance, making a payment every single week, but for some reason, now it finally felt real. This mountain I've been climbing for over a year, I could see the top. The last 2 months were wild. I went all in. Worked Saturdays, took referrals I usually passed on, reached out to past customers just to check in and picked up some more installs. I also did away with my fun money temporarily and my 10% tithe. I wanted to eliminate this balance as fast as possible. I was obsessed, but in a good way. Because once you believe the finish line is real, you run differently. You don't jog, you sprint. And then one Friday morning, I logged into my bank account and I saw the balance of $22,500. I had more than double that amount in my savings account. Sure, I had told myself that I wanted to pay this thing off from my income, but the temptation for gratification was too much. I made the last payment instead of waiting a few more months, and boom, it was gone. $175,000 paid in full. And the first thing I felt? No celebration, not even pride, just peace. Like I'd finally taken a weighted vest off after wearing it for 16 months straight. Remember, motivation isn't magic, it's momentum. Just keep moving. Debt freedom doesn't come from big paychecks or perfect months. Bruce Lee said, long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. Ask any successful person and they'll tell you that great accomplishments come from doing the boring stuff over and over when no one's clapping. It's the quiet moments, the skipped impulse buys, the nights you say no to drinks and yes to progress. That's the stuff that adds up. So if you're watching this and feeling stuck, I see you. You're not lazy. You're not behind. You're just in the middle. And the middle always feels messy. But if you keep going, the future you is going to be so dang proud. If you found value in this video and hearing my story, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with new content. And be sure to watch the next video, From Saver to Investor, How I Built Wealth While Living Frugally. It'll show you exactly how I turn discipline into long-term wealth. See you then.